What we do here is go back.
Well, we punched through the one section of clouds. You see we got a little bit of clearness going on. Not too shabby. Let's figure I'd pop on here and say hi to everybody. Paul was trying to scan around for some galaxies and see what this cam does. It's not. This cam is not meant for galaxy or nebula viewing or anything like that. He was just playing around to see what this cam can do. Because if you remember, when we were up at Bill's in New York, he ordered these cameras from a guy in Canada. So we would just kind of see, you know, seeing what it could do. So thanks for bearing with us through a couple of dark patches. Now he's back on Saturn, so we're good to go. What is up to everybody in the chat? Wow, pretty good crowd tonight. Welcome to all the new people. I see a bunch of you. Once again, come back to the moderators. I see Mark is in the house. I'm chatting with him on two different, chatting with him on Skype and in the chat here. But yeah, these are two cameras he ordered when we were up in New York. Just, you know, once again, and we might do this again when the moon comes up. You'll see it. It will. You'll see him tweaking a little bit because he wants to get them both set up and stable to where it's the best viewing for what we do. And once again, we do mostly planetary bodies and moons and stuff like that. But if you want to see deep sky objects, and I'm talking about, you know, spiral galaxies, and if you want to see, you know, double star systems, stuff like that, you guys have to subscribe to Mark D'Antonio channel. He is here in the chat. Just click his name or the little three dots by his name and head on over there. And amazing stuff. And now he has linked a Facebook to it where you can actually get the raw images you can download for yourself if you want them. So, yeah, go over there and check it out. Does this help, Mark? That I'm up here. I'm kind of running 3 computers at once. Alright, either way, I'll be right back. Give me like a minute or so. Alright, there we go. That's why, because I had the audio on the other computer. There we go. Alright. So now my voice should be overpowering. I'm hoping. Let me just make sure here. Because I am coming up on the OBS. Interesting. Only reason I shut off the music just to test the microphone. For some reason, I am not getting full power out of this microphone. So, I wonder why. We had this problem a while ago as well. For some reason, I wasn't getting the full power out of it. It's not going all the way up. Let me see here. Alright, all the properties are good. Let's try. Wow, that's kind of way down. I don't know what happens when I do that. Guys, let me know how I sound in the chat. If it's loud and clear or not. I'm not sure what. I would need this fixed by the time Amy comes on. And every once in a while it just wants to be a pain. Okay, what about this here? Alright. Holy crap, that scared the crap out of me. Alright, that wasn't it. Weird. Have it all the way up. Usually it reads pretty good. Okay, so it is. So, Rock, you're saying it is good then. So I could act like a radio station DJ and welcome everybody to the live stream. And everybody can hear me loud and clear. Very good. Now, what I was trying to say earlier... Okay, I think I need to turn it... There we go. Alright, much better. What I was trying to say earlier is that if you want to see deep sky objects, subscribe to Mark's channel. That is his specialty. And he does some amazing things over there, so go check it out. And if you want to come and hang out just with a normal sky cam, usually with a beautiful sky, we saw a lot of objects last night, a lot of satellites. Head over to Bill NY Skywatcher's channel. The three of us, myself and Paul and Mark and Bill, we kind of started our own little network. And between the three of us so far, we pretty much have the cosmos covered. And we are looking for one or two more people that we can add to it that are in the southern hemisphere, because we do not have that area covered. So we're talking, you know, Australia, South America, you know, places like that, for serious astronomers, amateur astronomers, of course, but ones that are very serious about it. So if anybody knows anybody and wants to throw them a line, let them know that we are looking for affiliates and whatnot, and let them know. It'd be great to have a southern hemisphere feed as well. And Saturn is looking absolutely gorgeous tonight. Let me, looks like he's got it pretty pumped full of color there, which is kind of like falsifying it. Let me see if I can duck that out just a tad. There we go. And maybe defocus just a tad to bring that outer ring out a little bit. And as you can see it, because if I contrast it too much, it'll take that outer ring away. Now, Mark, I'm not sure how long we're going to be on, but if you want to join me on Skype, just let me know, and I'll bring you in. If you just want to chit-chat while we're watching the cosmos, let me know, and I'll bring you in. Let's see here. All right, guys. Give me a minute or so. I'll be right back. And there we go. Now, Mark, welcome once again, my friend.
Hey, how's it going?
We seem to be doing this a lot.
You know what? It's okay because we've started this little triad of P&K, Sky Tour, and Bill and Y.
Absolutely.
And it's the three of us now. And between the three of us, I think we have the sky covered from meteorite watches and general wide sky field views with Bill to stunning planetary views with you and with Paul and the moon views. And then we have the deep sky with us.
And I tell you what, last night we saw a bunch of satellites on Bill's stream last night.
Yeah, right?
I went over to the start, and I was planning on coming over to your stream, and there was just so much going on screen. I was like, all right, so I hung out with them a little bit. And then what I did is I actually called up on yours today, because I use yours kind of like as a lesson, I would say.
You were on point, man. The other night, to all you guys listening, Keith came on to the Sky Tour live stream with us, and he was talking about M13, the globular cluster in Hercules. He was on point. He knew exactly what he was talking about. And it's like, I was sitting there going, I absolutely love this. This is so cool because it's not often that I get to sit back and listen to someone else talk about the sky.
I know,
but
I felt like
such command.
I was feeling
wonderful.
a little bad because I was like, well, I don't want to take over this guy straight. Like, I was just...
No, I loved it.
You know when you learn something new and you kind of want to show off?
Yeah.
It's
cool.
like, well, that's what I've been doing. I've been studying the globular clusters. I've been studying, the binary systems. I've been doing that.
Yeah.
And actually, today, I did a whole, it was probably like an hour and a half where I was studying up on orbital velocities of different planets compared to Earth and stuff like that.
Yep.
And for some reason, I have no idea why, because I've never found it interesting before, but I just found it fascinating. And I started reading, and I kept reading, and next thing you know, I'm like, wow, well, what about, and then they started talking about the TRAPPIST stuff, and how they might relate to velocity, and I just got totally lost. So, yeah, if I go, setting off on a rant or anything like that again, just stop me.
I would have if I thought it was, an issue, but it was wonderful. I enjoyed it. I was smiling the whole time. You did not at all dominate. You just took off, and I felt like that was fantastic because that's exactly the kind of thing that we want to see on these streams. Yeah. We want to see that all of us who do these streams, and that people who join us, and that people who are guests on our stream, and even the mods who come on and moderate for us. These people, everybody is encouraged to participate, and you do that too. I do it. Everyone.
Well, not only that, but how awesome is like that people are interested enough that something that say you or us or Bill talks about, people are actually going the next days and actually reading up on these things that they might not have had a knowledge of beforehand. And all of a sudden they come back the next night and you see them talking in the chat about it, and you're like, wow, like somebody went and did their homework. Not because they had to, because they wanted to.
Yeah.
And that's the best form of education, is when somebody actually wants to learn it, not is being forced to learn it.
Right. Knowledge is a drug. I always said that. It's like a drug. When you mentioned the TRAPPIST-1 system. Now, there's all kinds of documents you can read about TRAPPIST-1, all kinds of papers that you can read, but nothing takes away from the fact that that's a system. It's around the little red dwarf star, all the way at the other end of the spectral class rating. From O, B, A, F, G, K, M, way at the end. Yep. It's the coolest and smallest star, type of star, and there's 7 planets around this star, as you know, and every single one of them is within the orbit of Mercury as compared to our sun. So they're so close to the star that they're all locked with that same face facing the star, just like the moon has that face facing us. Now how that happens takes billions of years, of formation to settle in with the orbits, and they reach this resonance. Okay, it's called, and they reach that place. The moon goes the same side all the time, facing us all the time. That's something that just fell in over time. It wasn't always that way. Well, as that happens, okay, the moon is also spiraling slowly away from the Earth by like 2 centimeters a year. which is a lot, when you add up billions of years. So could we have something happen to our day, the length of our day? Yeah. It's been slowing down. It used to be faster, and now it's slowing down because the moon is spiraling away, stealing some of the momentum of the Earth. Yep. And that's going to keep happening until it reaches some kind of medium. So even our solar system and our planetary systems are still settling in after 4.5 billion years.
And you know what? It's the smallest details that make people really start to get into astronomy. Like, when you tell somebody that you can fit every planet in our solar system between the Earth and the Moon, they all of a sudden go, "Wait, what?" And it's like, yeah. I mean, Jupiter is huge, Saturn is huge, but in the whole aspect of things, you can literally fit every planet between the Earth and the Moon. Now, they would look gigantic, obviously, but I mean, that's just one tidbit. When you tell somebody that, they're like, that doesn't make sense. But when they start looking at the actual measurements of, say, Jupiter and Saturn, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh, I guess you can, because what are we, like 224,000 some odd miles or kilometers or something like that?
Mean distance, and usually they use the figure 240,000 miles. I put exactly 240,000 miles on my last truck.
Yep.
Before the gas tank split open, and that was the end of the truck. It's pretty interesting and you're right, because when you look at Jupiter, it's 89,000 miles across.
Oh, you know what? And Jenny's bringing up a good point in chat, and I think this is true actually for everybody. Jenny says, I feel like time is speeding up, and I think that happens to everybody as you get older. Like, for some reason, I think it's more or less a mental thing, but I think as you get older, it just seems like time gets so much faster, and you lose so much time so much quicker. You know what I mean?
And
like, doesn't
I think that's directly related to how much your life becomes complex. I call it complexicated, just because it's a weird word. But your life becomes complexicated, and so you end up making your way around, to the stores, and you got to go do this, you got to get that. Oh yeah, I got to go to the DMV. I got to go this, blah blah blah. You got to buy new shoes. And by the way, my car broke down. That kind of thing.
But remember sitting in the classroom when you were younger and going, man, this day is just never going to end. This school year is never going to end. This is just, I can't wait till I get to 18. And then it's like when you're 18, I can't wait till I get 21.
That's right.
And then it's like, once you cross that 21 threshold every year, it just gets quicker and quicker. I mean, it's like almost amazing to think about that. Me and Paul have been doing this for a year and a half already.
Wow.
And it just seems like we just started a couple months ago. We started in January, February last year, and we were, it took us a while to get the hang of what each other does on each end, because we don't really have an instant form of communication. We're using Skype now, which has been great because he's able, because of his internet down there, it's just a total cluster. But being that I can have him on Skype chat now that we're directly connected, it's been a lot better.
That's great.
Contact, yeah. So, and we actually just did that after because we were pretty much talking about it up at Bill's house, when we went up there, of how we could connect better besides trying to text one another, and and we thought about Nextels, maybe that way we can almost have a two-way walkie-talkie kind of thing going. But it's proven that Skype, as long as we stick to the chat, because if he goes for video, his bandwidth is just gonna tank.
Yeah.
But as long as he sticks with the chat and he can do that on his phone and run that from the Wi-Fi, he's good to go. So I mean, that's been working out pretty good for us.
Is he using a go-to scope?
I'm not sure exactly. I mean, I know he's using the 11-inch tube tonight.
Okay.
Which he likes to call his wind sail. Because the thing, you can see it. I mean, this one, even that 1 inch, it's like a 1 3/4 inch difference actually. But because yes, I'll say it here now, the 10-inch scope is not actually 10 inches. It's like 9.25 inches, but we just call it a 10-inch scope. Okay.
Yeah.
For everybody in the chat anyway, you already know about that. But this,
because you have a secondary obstruction up in the center there that blocks some of the opening.
Yeah. But this scope, he said it catches so much more wind, just even with it being just a little bit bigger. Now, I'm not sure if there's a different mount involved with it, where maybe it's a different way. I'm not sure. I mean, I'd have to ask him about it. But
yeah. Well, for those in the chat that don't know, and for those listening, a go-to scope is one where you can actually just align it one time at the beginning of the night, and if you say go to the moon, it'll just go to the moon. and it'll be in there. If you can say go to Vega, a bright star in the summer sky, it'll go to Vega and put it in the center.
And it bases it off a pretty good alignment that you do when you first start up.
That's correct. You got to just get it all set up the first time. And telescopes are a lot more intelligent now. You can actually sit it right down on the ground. It doesn't have to be on a tripod. Doesn't have to be at a special angle. Mine's on a special angle on a pier because it's inside an observatory. And I'm so well aligned with that I can just tell it to go anywhere in the whole sky. And what I want is right there in the view. And that took probably about 3 weeks of total iterative alignments to get it down to what I wanted to.
We should also say that is one of the major benefits of having like a smaller observatory like you have, where you're actually able to leave that equipment. Not only that, but it helps with temperature. You know, if you're in, say, wintertime, like say here in Pennsylvania, if I were to take my scope from here outside, I got to wait that good 20 minutes until it comes to temperature, or you're just going to be fogged up the entire time.
Yeah, you know? And that's lousy. Yeah. So, and you're right. I mean, having the telescope at the same ambient temperature of the air is, of course, critical. The other problem is, like happened to us last night during our sky tour, I found that my photos that I was taking seemed to be strangely, it had some strange artifacts on them. I was like, what's going on? Then I looked at the end of the lens, and it was like, oh, I'm covered with dew.
Oh, really?
So, yeah, but an observatory helps prevent that. So I just pulled out the hairdryer, which I have in there, and I plugged it into the pier, and
Hey, it worked. Now, do you ever have a problem with, say, the dew being a little bit too much particleized, where it actually leaves a residue?
Oh yeah, that's actually depends on what's in the air. Like lots of pollen sometimes can get trapped in the on the glass. Not at the end of our telescopes.
How do you go about actually cleaning your scope yourself? I mean, I know there's a lot involved with it, you know, but if for anybody that has like a scope, or maybe they found an old scope that they might want to clean up, what can you tell them to actually help them do it the right way, where they don't have to worry about streaking or you know, any of the things that you would normally with cleaning a window or a mirror? You know?
Yeah, I can tell you right off the bat, don't use Windex. Don't touch it. Don't go near it. Don't even sniff it. Okay? I just think that the best thing to do is you start with, if you go online and you look for telescope cleaning equipment, and you look for the solution for the eyepieces, the solution for the lenses, the solution for the corrector plate, which is the glass plate at the end of the telescope. You see, Keith, well, Paul, I don't know what you have, Keith, for a telescope.
Well, I got 3 of them here. I mean, they're all on the smaller side. I mean, but I love my 114. Like, it's a perfect scope to transport and take, you know, where I need to. You know, it's not a go-to or anything. It's just a normal, you know, mount. But
that's all right.
Yeah, I mean,
it can double as a club.
Yeah, it's been my, you know, old standby, and it still looks, you know, like the day I got it. The optics have remained absolutely crisp and clear. Yeah, I love that Celestron 114. It's a great scope.
Yeah, it's a very nice you know, telescope for someone who wants to look at planets and someone who wants to look at the moon. You don't need anything more.
Right.
All right, and to say that, you know, what Paul's got is basically overkill, is to say, you know, somewhat of a truth, because his view. I mean, if you look at Saturn here, this is stunning. This is a stunning view of Saturn. You can see Cassini's division, which is that dark line in the rings, and a few others. I don't really think we can see what's called the N-key gap, but
on a good night, you can.
Okay, because right now, I mean, Saturn is still low in our sky, so it's going to be low in his sky.
Watch this shot that he's coming up on now. You'll see it on YouTube. Well, you guys are seeing it now as we're talking, but I'm just because Mark is with me 30 seconds ahead. You see it when he goes in on this. I mean, Saturn. I mean, he's got it down to a science. What settings he needs his optics at to feed it. I mean, I'm doing barely anything on this end, adjusting for contrast and gamma and brightness. I mean,
that's good.
You can actually see, you know, the banding and the actual planet. Great stuff.
Yeah. And, you know, I actually I put it on Saturn and Jupiter on occasion, but I always tell people in the chat, that's P&K Space Imaging. That's their thing. But
dude,
no, I
said,
can't.
don't worry about it. Just
I know, but I don't. Of course. But my point is, I'm going to, save the planets for you guys. I'll do the deep sky stuff. I only use the planets when I'm waiting for the sky to get darker. So I had it on Jupiter last night, just to let it get dark. And so I showed people which planets were where. Io and Europa and Callisto were visible. Mm-hmm. And then we looked at Saturn briefly, and then moved on to start going to the deep sky stuff. But then I sprung the new development for the observatory. I have you saw them. I have several 3D printers here, and day before yesterday, I drew up a mount for the camera so that I could actually attach the camera onto the telescope with its lens, so that I could actually have a guided camera up there. Now that's called a piggyback mount. And yeah, I could buy one, but you know what? I could grow one too, and I grew one. It grew in 4 hours, and when it was done growing, I grew in the holes and everything to put it in. I just screwed it down, and boom, I put my camera on it, and it's a perfect mount. And so I had this piggyback mount, and what I did was I used it to do these wide-angle shots of the Milky Way, from inside the observatory. And we got to see things. The point was, when we looked at the sky, we only saw these close-ups of the Ring Nebula, and the Omega Nebula, and these nebulas, and the Lagoon Nebula. But to put it in context of where it was in the sky, we needed to see it at the wide angle. So that's what I did. After showing all these close-ups, I put on that camera lens, and we actually zoomed out, and you could see the entire swath of southern sky, for instance. And then we just zoomed in little by little, and you could see where the Lagoon Nebula was. And say, oh, see, that's where it is in the context of the whole sky. And that gives people a feel for where we're looking, so they don't just think it's any old where, so to speak.
The pictures you're posting to that new page that you started on Facebook, you're posting the raw images, correct?
I'm posting raw images, but I'm also posting what are called stacked images. And for those who don't know what stacked images, it means that I will take 15 or 20 short exposures of the same thing and stack them one on top of the other and register all the stars to align with each other. And then I can take that image and tweak it, because that gives me what's called a better signal-to-noise ratio when you stack. And the background, which has noise in it and has the stippling pattern from the camera noise, for instance, all of that can get removed, leaving only the signal.
Well, what I'm asking is, are you you're actually putting a download link for people to actually download the image?
Well, I'm putting the images up there, yes.
So you're putting a JPEG image of what it is, and then giving an option for the full raw download?
I am going to give them...
whatever your final product is?
Yeah, I'm actually converting them to TIFF, because that's better. And it doesn't change their size much at all. But each of the photos will be probably about 5 meg. But you know what? If someone wants the raw pictures, then I think it's important to be able to provide those. If they're watching the stream and they say, "Oh man, I wish I had that photo to play around with it."
Well,
now you will.
Disclosure: I plan on taking a lot of your images that you are offering for download and taking them to a printing company and actually having them printing big prints of them for me for the new studio.
I think that'd be great. Just don't go too big, because the resolution of the photos is great, but it won't support a poster size.
No, I was thinking about maybe going the biggest I might go would maybe be a 12 by 18. Okay, that will work, because I know that for the town I did some drone work. I fly around the town, and I videotape and video capture some of their construction projects, and I do it at a certain resolution. Well, at a certain resolution I didn't think was amenable to a 20 by 24 poster, but they made one of the images, the screen caps that I did, into a 20 by 24 poster, and I got up close to it and I was like, oh, what, it came out okay. So it wasn't bad. So yeah, there's some
there are some
well, I want to get a
caveats
couple.
there.
I want to get a couple prints that I can frame, and then I also want to get a couple done that are done. You ever see those places that actually do a painting of the picture? It's all done. Yeah, that's. I want to get.
It's
a
a
couple
Photoshop
done like
thing. You can get the filter with for nothing almost, and just
but yeah,
do
but
it
you
in
can
Photoshop.
actually like put your hand on the picture and actually feel like, you know.
Oh, okay. It's the relief. It's got the relief to it.
Yeah, and I want to get a couple done like that as well. And
That's
that Spiral Galaxy is definitely going to be one of them.
Yeah, that's the Whirlpool Galaxy.
Yep.
Yeah. If there was clouds, you could run through some of those pictures, right, and throw them in the stream.
And as you can see, I'm just going to let everybody know in the chat. You see that it kind of shaking a little bit. Paul has got some wind going down there in Miami, and once again, we talked about the wind thing. So if you see it shimmying around, the actual image itself, not the normal atmospheric distortions, is making it wavy. But if you actually see it bouncing from side to side, that's just because of the wind that he's dealing with down there. But wow, he's on point tonight, man.
Yeah, I mean, Saturn looks really stunning. See, wow. I can't get views like this, and I'll tell you why. My telescope is it's a wider angle view than his. Mm-hmm. Okay, I believe he has an f10.
It's because it's a Meade. No, I'm just joking. You know, there's going to be just like there's Chevy against Ford. There's always going to be Meade versus Celestron.
Yeah, no, my telescope actually, cameras and lenses, they're set at like an F ratio, and the smaller the number, the wider the angle, basically. And mine's an f6.3. Focal length, F ratio, and Keith's and Paul's is f10. It's only a difference of just a couple of numbers, but that difference translates to a much different amount of power that you see when you just have a camera stacked up to the back of the telescope and looking at images like Saturn here.
You know what I'd like you to do one night, just as a comparison? I would like you, because you have a telephoto for that A7S, right?
I do.
I would like to see you do, like, say, take a shot with that telephoto of the moon. Like, just pick an area of the moon and take a shot with it, as close as you can get to it with clarity, and then put your camera on the telescope just to show people the difference in resolution when it comes to, say, what a telescope does compared to what a telephoto would do.
That's very good. Actually, I'm gonna have I'll be getting a second one of those cameras, by the way, and it's going to be mounted to the telescope like in a semi-permanent manner, so that I don't have to do any swapping of cameras, and all I have to do is just a soft switch in the software to just switch over to that camera.
Right. Well, we get the people all the time that come on and go, well, they look at the moon and see what we're, and they're like, oh, well, I can see better than that with my P900. And it's like, well, yeah, but you're not getting, number one, this close with your P900, because your P900 is not really picking up the atmospheric distortion. I mean, it gives don't get me wrong, I mean, the P900 will give you a beautiful picture of the moon. Beautiful.
It does. Yeah, I have one. I had to get one because people were taking UFO photos with P900s, and
right.
Because I didn't have the camera, and I had to get it so that I could compare apples to apples.
But when you compare, what Paul does, I mean, there's just no comparison. I mean, you're taking that, and I don't think. I mean, the closest I've seen like somebody get to the moon that Paul gets is, of course, the guy over in England.
Yeah,
he gets close, but he does it. It's not the same through camera work. It's through more lens manipulation than actual in camera.
Well, yeah, I don't actually know how he does it, but I mean, I have to admit that some of his views are stunning. I mean, it looks, if it's live, it's really kind of groundbreaking.
And if
it's live.
Well, I was trying to figure. I'm like, why does all those close-up images look like it's on an angular plane? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's almost given like a wider depth towards the top of the image and a more shallow one towards the bottom. Almost like you're kind of what do you
distorted?
Call it? Yeah, it's almost like you're kind of looking up at it, where it kind of widens out at the top.
Oh, skewed. It's skewed.
And that has to be something lens-wise. I'm not sure, because we've never had that happen. But if you look at, I mean, don't get me wrong, the view is amazing that he's getting, and he's getting it with pretty good clarity. But it just looks like, when you look at it, it looks like it almost looks like you're heading up a hill. I don't know if I'm saying this right. It looks like you're heading up a hill.
No,
and it kind of goes
you're saying
wider at the top.
the image looks skewed to you, and the perspective seems off. Okay, I haven't noticed that, but that's only because I haven't really, studied them with that kind of
right.
That kind of what did I say, concerted effort.
Well, I mean, if this guy actually applied himself, I mean, he could actually do really well, but
yeah, I think that and he has photos of these satellites he says that he's taking. I don't. He says that they're not moving in the sky; that they're still. The only way they can be still is if they're at the geostationary location, which means they're 22,000 miles away. Which means, at the power he's using, the angular size of those in the sky might make them miles across. We're at their location out in space.
Right. And we're talking about the images that are quote unquote space ships.
Yeah, and so if they're miles across, see, that's where I have my issue. So I'm not sure what's going on there. But I mean, I could be misunderstanding what he's doing, and it's worth.
I could too. And well, to me, it looks like from everyone that I've seen, you gotta have him on
as a guest.
I've tried. I said, I invited him on, he can promote himself because I know he's doing all kinds of fun things that he needs stuff, and I was like, dude, come on, explain your stuff, and pretty much, and once again, it was one thing after the other. It was, oh, my Skype don't work. Somebody uninstalled Skype from my computer. I can't do this. The government's after me for that. Like, every time it was an excuse after excuse after excuse. And eventually I was just like, okay, whatever. So, but, I mean, when we're talking about the images, of the supposedly, like, orbital spaceships, to me, it looks, well, a lot of them look like the exact same thing, just, kind of like what Paul does with the camera here when he turns it to make, a flat plane or, to bring the lit side of the moon to the top, the way you're looking at it.
Yeah.
It looks like the camera's just turned, or the image itself is turned in post or something, because sometimes it's upside down, other times it's the other way around. Sometimes it's on a diagonal, but it all looks fairly like the exact same object, whatever it is.
Yeah, I noticed a couple of the objects today. And for those in chat who don't know what we're talking about, there's a guy that has a telescopic view that he says is showing these satellites that are in orbit. And you can do this. I mean, I have photos here of the ISS that are the International Space Station, which are stunning, and they are taken from the ground. But those are taken with a special mount. The mount's called a micron mount, and see, Paul's telescope, my telescope, our telescopes move very slowly with the rotation of the Earth. But a telescope that follows a satellite has to move at the speed that the satellite's moving through the sky. And that's a fairly good clip. And because these telescopes are moving with a meshed gear set, then sometimes you're going to get these little bounces and squiggles in your motion if you go fast. Typically on an astronomical telescope like Paul's, like mine, we don't want to go fast and then actually see anything. We don't need the image while we're seeing anything. But if you actually were moving through the sky and looking at something in the sky, you would see that it wouldn't move in a nice straight line. You wouldn't get a streak of light as you're moving past a star. You get a squiggle. All right? So the mount isn't made to go smoothly at high speed. These micron mounts are, and they're also $21,000 for the cheapest one. So, you're talking, if you want to track satellites like that, then you're talking about investing about $40,000 just to go in the door.
Right. And, and once again, I want to believe that this is something that, that's been found or whatever. But, I mean, if you actually take that image and you condense it down back into a singular image that's not repeating itself through some weird thing, it looks, and it can be, if you look for a picture of a stationary weather satellite, that's, I mean, they have the one side that goes out, the other side is kind of bulky. I mean, it looks like an out-of-focus satellite, overexposed out-of-focus satellite. Now, is it?
But it can't be that, but if it is, it means that the magnification potential has to be massive. By the way, Roses of Time just gave you €2.
Oh, thank you.
So I saw it scroll by. I just want to make sure that that didn't go unnoticed at your end. So because
I'm kind of listening to you, and I'm looking at.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to keep you honest here.
Keep me honest, Mark. But thank you. What was it? Who was it again?
Roses of Time.
Roses of Time. Thank you very much. Much appreciated.
It was very nice. So, hopefully, if he wants to come on and talk to you, that'd be great. I'll listen to that one. But
Yeah,
the point
and
is,
once again, the offer is still there. It's still open. I mean, me and him did have a little tiff a while back about some stuff, but I'm willing to let bygones be bygones, because I think that if this is real and if he's willing to explain his method, so it can. I mean, you're talking to other astronomers here, and if he explains his method about how he's doing it, and if we can confirm it, that's only more power to him. That all of a sudden shifts all the attention back to him, going, wow, this guy is right. This guy, what he's doing is, something for real. Because I don't know if he'll do that, because, I mean, we actually have the power to test it and recreate it if it is indeed what he says it is. Yeah.
That's right. And if it's not, we also have the power to expose it.
Yeah, and I don't know.
And so maybe that's part of it. I don't know. See,
I don't know.
The thing is, he is asking people to donate because he says he needs a van to transport his telescope to a dark sky site. Yeah, I saw a live drone video he did. I actually thought about doing live drone broadcasting as well. It's actually very simple to do. Because I have a bunch of them you saw.
Yeah, there's nothing major about that.
No, it isn't. But the thing is, he was doing a drone thing, and I saw the vehicle he had was actually a brand new handicap type van with a ramp that comes down, and I wasn't sure what I was looking at there. And the video was fairly new, so I was wondering, gee, is that a new van that he was asking about? I was confused. So the guy was asking for money to buy a van, and well, there was a new van. So
I'm not sure
did it work?
If he just needs one, just for telescope equipment, maybe, or
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not willing to pass judgment on that. Yet anyway. But then, I mean, once again, the offer is open for him to come on and explain what's going on, explain how he's doing stuff, and then actually have astronomers test it. Because we're going to have, I mean, not only yourself, but Paul, and we have astronomers here that listen. I mean, you're talking, like Astronomy Livestream. You're talking about Astronomy Live, even though he rubs a lot of people the wrong way. Daza, the cameraman, I'm sure he would be more than willing to test it out. And you have a chance to have everything you've ever said and claimed validated.
Yeah, I mean, this could propel you to the attention of many people that you want and have been saying you want. So why would you not fix your damn Skype and make sure you can get on the shows? That's kind of how I look at it. But
once again, well, I will put it out there right now. Okay, I'm going to say it as clear as I can say it. Mr. John Leonard Walson, bygones be bygones. They're without prejudice. Okay, if you want to come on to this stream and explain your method or your setup or however you want to do it, nobody wants to steal your idea. Nobody wants to run away with it. I mean, granted, you have videos obviously proving that you've had this since at least 2007. Okay, so nobody can take that idea from you. You have proof that you've been doing this for that long. So you don't have to worry about anybody stealing your ideas or anything. But if you want to come on and explain how you're doing the imaging and explain how you put your little device together with your lenses and whatnot, and so other people can take that information and actually test it out and either verify it or not verify it, because there is a chance, that they can come back and say, no, I mean, I'm not going to pretend like that's not a choice, but you could literally open the field of ufology up tenfold with one interview or just one coming out and saying, okay, here's what I did. Go ahead and test it and let me know how you guys make out with it. And and you do that, you're home free. I mean, I'll be impartial about it. I'm not, once again, past is past. If that's the way you want to do it, we can do it that way. And we could have Mark in here. We can have, another person, whoever you want. If you want somebody to validate your stuff, that's absolutely fine. But in order, because you're making a very, what's the old quote about claims?
he's making a fairly elaborate claim and powerful claim.
Yeah, and it needs extraordinary evidence to go along with it.
Oh, well yeah, extraordinary claims require extraordinary proof. Yes, of course.
And if 2 out of 3 other astronomers, amateur or not, take your method, recreate it, and come out with the same thing you do, guess what? You just got validated for the last, no matter what bullshit you've been through or what, government agencies after you, if I'm not even going to get into any of that stuff. But somebody recreates it and finds the same exact thing you do, you're validated. You're good.
And not only that, if he does allow that to happen, no matter what happens, no matter how he's treated, say somebody else decides to go off and treat him poorly, well, guess what? The data and the technique will stand on its own. Right. So literally, he doesn't even have to say a word. He just has to say, here's my equipment, here's my technique, have at it. And if it's valid, then all the critics in the world can't stop it, and all the people on planet Earth are going to benefit from it. And I think that's pretty cool.
And what we would need from him would be his telescope, the type and size. We would need to know what's involved with his imaging apparatus that he made or whatever. And we would need to know coordinates, because obviously he's found this one object more than once.
Yeah, yes.
And he can find it, and he has said, and I found places where he said he can find it day or night. So all we need is that coordinates.
Yeah, the day or night thing has always bothered me.
Yeah, I mean, so it's like, if you want to give us that and have actual astronomers test this, awesome. Let's do it. Let's stop. Pardon my friend. Let's stop fucking around and let's just do it and either validate it or, maybe come to the conclusion that it might be something other than a spaceship floating around in orbit. Give or take. But let's validate what it actually is.
I think the mods have to ban you now because you said a bad word. All of a sudden you're gone. It's like Keith has been banned from what? He's been banned from his own stream.
But I will say that you don't have to bother messaging me about any excuses or not. You can just message me and say, sure, I'll come on and do it, no problem, or no, and then we'll leave it at that. Okay?
Yeah.
But, I'm pretty sure us and the 359 people watching right now, would actually like to see if this is actually legit. And this has been going on since 2007. So let's finally put it to the test. Let's do it.
Right.
And we will try our best to work with everything that you say and do everything to the parameters that you tell us to try to validate you. But we're not gonna fake validate you. You know what I mean? We're gonna just come out with the answers that we get. So,
yeah.
So there it is. Give it, take it or leave it. And then if it is validated, you'll have a van before you know it.
That's right. And probably from the Queen.
Yeah. So there you go. So anyway, Paul's saying about to cut around midnight, so we got about 10 minutes or so.
Oh, really?
So,
okay.
Yeah. Well, guy's got to work tomorrow.
So what? Who does he think he is?
I know. If I could hit the Powerball, I'd be like, Paul, move your ass to Pennsylvania. You're done. You don't have to worry about money no more.
No. Wait,
Astronomy 24/7.
Pennsylvania? No. The two of you will move to Arizona, and you'll find me when I'm out there.
We'll find you out there in one of them Davy Crockett hats running around the desert.
Yeah, I don't think so. If I have to shoot a mountain lion or two, I may have to. But
yeah,
no, this is pretty cool. And I think that it's pretty interesting because what we're trying to do with the live streams is to basically be a one-stop shop.
Yeah.
And we're not limiting it to just Bill NY Skywatcher, P&K Skywatch, or Sky Tour live stream. We're not limiting it to those three. If there's others out there that are worth it and look like they might be good for us, especially the Southern Hemisphere, we could cover the whole planet.
Imagine that.
I wish there was somebody in the Canary Islands that said, "Hey, I'll help."
Just imagine, guys. You're going to be able to go to one site on any given night, no matter, because once again, we all had talked about it before, that we're not worried about stepping on each other's toes when it comes to broadcasting.
Right.
Because if you can broadcast, because once again, we always said the more eyes in the sky, the better, no matter where those eyes are coming from. So
even
if
it's the
we're
same
on
object.
the moon on one night and Mark's, doing Jupiter or some deep sky objects, and you have Bill doing a sky watch, over Hudson Valley, New York, just imagine you being able to go onto a website and seeing all of those in one place, playing all at the same time, where you could actually click on any individual one to hear the audio that's going on from them.
And that's already actually in place, right?
Yeah, Bill has the site all done. But we have to, us three need to get together and actually work out the kinks and how we want to do it and all that stuff, which I was gonna do last night, but I know Bill hadn't streamed for a while, so I just I let it be last night. But one of these days, us three's got to jump on and actually go onto that site live with the three of us and make the little adjustments and whatnot. But yeah, we'd love to add some Southern Hemisphere people in there. That'd be great.
Yeah. I mean, I might. I can make contacts with some folks down in Oz.
Are there any remote satellites able to be used in the Southern Hemisphere?
No. But you know what? I was thinking that. And I've used, because I've done this before. There was a robotic telescope on Mount Tete in the Canary Islands. It's not in the Southern Hemisphere, but it's more closer to the equator. Mm-hmm. And on Mount Tete, this was called the Bradford Robotic Telescope, and it was operated by a university in Great Britain. And so I got involved with them. I actually got myself into that program, and I was actually able to get data and get imagery from that telescope. Mm-hmm. And basically, it's a shared resource. So what you do is you get a slot, and you pick an object that you want to see, and you put in the coordinates for it. And then you just wait to hear from them. And if the sky was clear that day, say you scheduled it 2 days from now, right. The sky was clear, you get that imagery you want. But that's just one photo. We're not talking video. If we want to do video, that's a whole different thing. Even SLU, which I was a member of SLU for about 4 years, and that's a automated telescope system that you can buy time on. And they're in Chile, they're in the Canary Islands as well. Mm-hmm. In fact, the Bradford Robotic Telescope is right down the hill from the SLU domes, because they have two sets of domes on Mount Tete for SLU, and then there's one dome down in Chile. Well, that was all great. I was paying $24 a year to be a member of SLU. Well, that went up to $24 a month, and then it went up even higher if you wanted more time. So I basically said, you know what, I'll just do it myself. So that's part of the motivation for doing my own.
Real quick question from the chat, from Jay Leno's Chin is asking you a question. But he said, basically, why does the Polaris stay fixed? Let me get back to the question here, because I kind of
it scrolled off for me too. I know what you're saying.
Let me see here.
Why does Polaris, a star many light years away, stay relatively fixed above the North Pole if Earth is moving, spinning? Oh, you know what? That's a common question, Jay Leno's Chin. Let me tell you, in the way Jay Leno might say it. As I'm sitting in my Corvette, driving down the boulevard. Now, the way it works is this. The Earth is spinning like a top. So, in fact, Polaris isn't on the pole. Polaris is actually what are called a few arc minutes away from the pole. Okay? And that means that Polaris makes a tiny little circle around the pole as the Earth rotates around once. And the Earth is going through its orbit, but the distance it moves in its orbit from one side of the sun to the other is so much smaller than the distance that Polaris is from us that it's insignificant. And Polaris doesn't even, it's 400. Look, Polaris is 433 light years away. Okay, and that distance, that's 433 times 6 trillion, because it's 6 trillion miles, okay, per light year. So 433 times 6 trillion is how far away Polaris is. So at that distance, we could move a heck of a lot more distance than the say 200 million miles in our orbit around the sun, the diameter, than we are now. I mean, we could go farther than that, and Polaris still wouldn't appear to move. So that's because Polaris is so far away that it doesn't appear to move. But we are getting a different North Star all the time. Mm-hmm. Not all the time, but over the years. In fact, it takes 26,000 years for that to happen, to go in one cycle. That's because the Earth is spinning like a top. Mm-hmm. And its North Pole is moving around in what we call precession. Yeah. And that little precession circle, okay, that happens to the Earth is what dictates where the North Star is. All right, how many of you in chat and listening to us know the star Vega in the constellation Lyra? Vega is a bright star. It's a type A, very bright, A0 in fact. That star used to be the North Pole. It used to be the North Star. Okay, thousands of years ago, that was the North Star.
And this is proved by mathematics.
That's proved by a mathematical study of the precession path, yes.
Now, I want to stop you right there only because what do you have planned Saturday night, Mark?
Oh, what's Saturday night?
2 nights from
now. That's like too far away. I don't think so. I mean, if it's clear,
okay.
I could stream.
Do you want to do the Saturn stream Saturday night, weather permitting, from Miami?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay, so what I'm going to try to do is we'll do a Saturn stream. I just talked to Paul about it. He said for sure. So if we can, weather permitting, we'll have Mark on Saturday night. I'm also going to message Amy Title from Vintage Space and hopefully get her on at the same. So we'll talk to her a little bit about the Apollo programs and whatnot, and then we'll continue on with you about Saturn, kind of like we did with the Jupiter stream, where we did everything Jupiter. We'll do everything Saturn, but we will bounce back and forth from Saturn to Jupiter, especially. But hopefully we'll get Saturn up around zenith, where it'll be even clearer than what it was tonight. So, yeah, why don't we bookmark that for Saturday night? And if we can't stream because of weather, you can always go ahead and stream from Connecticut, from your place.
Yeah, and in fact, I'll have you on my stream.
There you go.
Yeah,
and actually, maybe
do it again.
Actually, myself and maybe Paul, if he can.
I'd love that. I'd love that, Paul. I mean, Paul, for those listening, Paul and Keith visited the John Zach Memorial Observatory here, and back when we did the Pine Bush conference, I had to speak at the conference, and they were here for the conference, and it was great. So they all came down, and they got to see this little looks like a big giant porta potty in my yard. If you think about it, yeah, exactly. And you had 375 people that said, "Did he just do that?
Did he just do that on the astronomy stream?"
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, but and so they're keenly aware of the benefits and limitations of having an astronomical building, but I think that it'd be nice to actually have them. I've actually got my equipment out there for doing my live streams, courtesy of Bill, New York Skywatcher, and Keith. They helped get me up and running, and Paul actually he offered to give me this device, which I didn't take because I had one arriving that very day, which hadn't got there yet, and it was a network interface, so that you can actually give your telescope a Wi-Fi access point, meaning your telescope would be able to generate its own Wi-Fi, and then you could connect to the telescope's Wi-Fi and steer it around the sky. Mm-hmm. And that's what I do. I go out there with an iPad, and all I have is the iPad, and I walk around, and I just point to the iPad where I want to go. Boom, the telescope just drives there. Right. Now, that's the end result. That's the end of everything that that it took to get to that point. I mean, it took so much time to actually make this work that finally when it worked, it was like, oh, I can't believe it worked. And so now basically at the end of the night, I just park the scope. Yep. And then I started up. I want to look. It gets its GPS location. Yes, the telescope gets its GPS location. It has a GPS built in.
And once again, we're still talking about a way to get Paul on more frequently. Once again, it comes down to the whole internet issue from Florida. But I think when we were up in New York, I think Paul really started to get the hang of it, like being on mic and everything. You can go back to those streams. that we did, and he really started getting the hang of it. And one thing about Paul is he is very, very knowledgeable.
Yeah.
About.
And then what I was going to tell you though was
the workings of his stuff.
I can call phone numbers, with my Skype because I pay for that. So I could call a cell phone and talk to him via cell phone. See, I don't have to call another Skype number. I can call his cell phone with Skype.
Well, that might be, or maybe even a landline for a better connection, right?
Yeah, if he has one out there on the top of the concrete bunker that he's on top of. But
I'm sure there's one in there somewhere.
Yeah, but if he wants to do it that way, that's fine too.
Awesome.
But we can call him from that, and then I could just figure out a way to.
So there you go, Paul. If you're listening, he could, So if we can't do it Saturday night, me and you will jump on with Mark over on his channel for a little Sky
If we're
tour.
doing it, yeah. If we got a Sky Tour live stream going.
Yep. So we definitely have a way to do it. So this is the plan, final plan for Saturday. We're going to attempt, weather permitting, to do a Saturn stream with Paul from Miami. Mark's going to come on and talk about everything Saturn, and we're going to try to get Amy Title on from Vintage Space and a lot of other stuff. She's been, she was actually on the program with Mark. Which one was that? Aliens on the Moon or?
Oh, you don't remind me of that show.
But she was on that. She was on as one of the experts as well. But she is very, very knowledgeable. I mean, she is a Apollo expert. I mean, any little thing you want to know about any Apollo mission, she is there and she knows it.
Right, and you don't tell someone like that, just like you don't tell me, just like you don't tell you. Well, maybe you may not.
Yeah, you can tell me.
But you don't tell us that we didn't go to the moon.
Yeah.
Okay, because most people who say that didn't live through it. Mm-hmm. They didn't watch the people that got killed trying to reach that goal. They didn't see the developments over time. I did. I saw it because I'm 56 years old. All right, I was a little kid when we landed on the moon. I was 9.
Mark's driver's license number is 4.
That's so funny.
No, his driver's license came on a scroll.
Oh, brum bum.
Oh, okay.
But I was. Hey, I joined the Mutual UFO Network when I was 11 years old in 1971. And that was 2 years after it started. So I've been in MUFON ever since then.
I hate this because I'm seeing a whole bunch of questions in chat that I want to get to, but I can't. We cannot do it tonight. The poor man has got to get off of the top of the parking garage and get some sleep because he has to work tomorrow. But once again, Saturday night, any and all of these questions, Saturday night, make sure to subscribe. Click the bell if you want notified when we go live. This time of the, let's see, the almost new moon coming up. So you're looking at about 9 o'clock. 9:30 we'll probably go live with it, and I believe Saturn is reaching zenith 12:31 a.m. Am I wrong?
Oh, you're talking about Miami.
Yeah, in Miami.
Yeah, I'd have to look up the ephemeris to see. I don't think
it's around there.
Saturn never gets up over your head. That's like zenith.
Right, but
it just transits.
Most straightest point that we're not.
Yeah, it gets to the highest point in the sky. It transits at
whatever
time that it is. About. No, well, I'm just telling the people, so they know they don't looking up at Saturn.
Right, and once again,
I'm just keeping it honest.
Paul, absolutely fantastic job. We didn't think we were going to get the stream in tonight. We tried earlier, and go back and watch the video before this, Mark, before you go to bed, and look at Jupiter when we first came on. I mean, it was gorgeous. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, of course, like always, that Miami weather, clouds come out of nowhere. Yeah. So...
Yeah, I see that. That's really pretty.
So that's a plan. I'm going to wrap this up so this guy can get some rest and whatnot. But once again, we are gunning. We might do a little stream tomorrow night if it happens to be clear once again, because Paul he's watching the sky all day. And usually he'll text me around 4 in the afternoon and say, hey, and send me a picture saying, hey, sky's looking good. We might be able to go in for a stream tonight, blah, 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 So we might do a short stream tomorrow. It will not be the Mark stream. The Mark stream will be coming on Saturday night. That way nobody has to worry about waking up, Sunday. We can do a nice long stream and get some pretty good optics going in imagery. So I think that's where I'm going to end it for tonight. Since it looks like some more clouds are coming in. Mark, I'll talk to you more off the air.
All right. Tomorrow night I'm going to host a Skywatch here with a few tens of people that are coming from the
Is that the one that
area
got scheduled from last week?
Yeah, but it's probably going to be clouded out again. It's like The last 2 days would have been the perfect time to do it, but we'll see.
Yeah, that's usually. But I want to talk to you about a whole nother channel idea that I have. So,
okay.
And yeah, so that's where we'll end it for tonight. Thank everybody for tuning in. And,
hey, good to talk to you guys.
Yeah. Thanks for coming on and chilling for the last hour or so, or however long you've been on. And yeah, guys, we'll see you tomorrow. I'll let this camera play a little bit, so we'll knock off the audio, and you'll still see it on camera a little bit, and then we'll see you Saturday night, maybe tomorrow.
And then
night.
We'll just abruptly and unceremoniously end.
Yep. Then we will end it. So yeah, thanks, guys, and we'll see you Saturday night.